everyone. Welcome. We, as always, are recording our meetings. In case you don't want your name or your face to show, just remove it, okay? So, we are continuing studying the book Alert by the Spirit Joanna de Angelis. And let me just prepare everything here on the screen. And psychography by Divaldo Franco. Okay. All right. Can you see the screen already? All good?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so let us start reading. We are on our 23rd week, and today we're going to be talking about shine your light. So, the continuous movement of the human mass causes concern if you consider the spiritual issue problematic, which relates to everyone. The majority come across to you as surly, under the strain of the pains for which they did not conveniently prepare for, resulting in violence against others and themselves. Another impressive quantity of, sorry, let me just mute here. Okay. Another impressive quantity of distracted individuals travel without realizing the responsibilities that belong to them. The misinformation in terms of values of the spirit, the ones that seem everlasting, are alarming. It adds to the erroneous concepts many profess. They do so in shocking disregard and disrespect for the realities of life. Focusing on such situations, reflect on the religious movements that lead the masses lacking the legitimate sentiments of faith. They are without internal clarity, thus becoming stupefied. Without a doubt, all edifying emulation, attempting to incorporate Jesus in the day to day of humanity, has high significance. On the other hand, the clarity of faith should be sustained by the few of deeds under the penalty of being extinguished from one moment to another. To take advantage of such desideratum, it is indispensable to support reason that substantiates itself in fact that the mind cannot evade when disagreeable occurrences threaten the equilibrium. Unaccustomed to reasoning in matters of faith, humans submit themselves to the codes of momentary love to abandon them later, believing in passing convenience more due to accommodation of interest than for the need for growth and renovation. Okay, although the title is quite nice, we still have to start focusing on the what we as human have been doing. Basically, what Joana de Angelis is trying to tell us here is that as human beings, we have always been more focused on the material aspects of life, the material responses. And because we live on a world of trials and atonements, deaths and atonements, the problem that we have is that we will be facing challenges, difficulties, things that the world does not prepare us to deal with. And when it comes a time where we have to face adversity, if we have not amassed the values of the spirit, it makes things very difficult for us. So it's only natural to see us being giving ourselves to despair, to bitterness, to aggression, all those negative emotions that backfire because we somehow feel hurt. And then on top of that, she's saying that even when we are considering religious movements, uh, again, many times, even when we are connected to a religious movement, to something that should be helping us unite with God, be more prepared, spiritual speaking, to deal with, what we have to do in life, we stay more on the surface. We don't develop in us real sentiments of faith that could help us, to become calmer, to have more acceptance, to have patience, to work with more balance in order to overcome whatever it is we are going through. So this is what she's presenting here, that as a rule, many of our brothers and sisters are very much lost in terms of having emotional, spiritual balance to deal with what we have to deal as a consequence of our own choices from the past, from the present. Okay. Um, Comments about that, questions?
Usually people believe we have God blessings when everything is okay. And
Mm-hmm.
when the problems come up, we believe God it's not present anymore. And this is the time we need to reinforce our faith to believe
Mm-hmm.
in all time we have the protections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting here that she says even when we give ourselves to some spiritual orientation, uh, when the torment passes, we go back to our worldly interest. So we don't allow this to really penetrate us and to build up. And so let's say we stay on the first degree of faith when we have to reach the 10th degree of faith. So we do not keep on building up. So next time we will be visited by challenges, by pain, by all kinds of adversity. I mean, we will no longer have to go from the zero in search of something to help us and in this sense. So this is another thing that, and it keeps on repeating itself. We see how much people sometimes only remember to pray, only remember of God when the bad times come, and if they don't, like you said, right, Sonia, if they don't have their desires resolved immediately, again they just, this as a rule, okay, we are not talking of everyone, but even ourselves, I mean, it's only natural. Many times we comment here when we are doing everything that we have to do, everything that we think is the correct thing to do, but it's still the adversities are going to visit us. And sometimes we may, at the back of our minds think, oh, come on, God, give me a break. See, I'm being a good girl, a good boy, right? We're doing the best that we can. Somehow, deep inside, we still being in the infancy still of our spiritual process, in a way, we still keep on hoping for uh, rewards that we actually still have not have not deserved it, right? Any comments, more comments, questions? Okay, let's see how she continues that. The outer movements of the religious climate on earth are respectable. However, it is of vital importance for the moral transformation of humanity that there be presence of faith in the mind and heart. Whoever claims to believe but does not produce any good in favor of their neighbor is unwise. If you live life and do not share blessings, you become a dilapidator of opportunity. If you cloister yourself in vanity of individual salvation, you turn yourself into an inconsequent parasite. If you impose your way of being supported by presumptuous convictions, you will make yourself prepotent. Only when the light of Christ shines on them, expressing in actions the scent of clarity and love, is when they are conditioned to prove that the path to happiness leads to their neighbor in a voyage towards the outside after having penetrated themselves in an inner search, in between introspection and prayer that now sustains them in liberating measures. So, what is Joanna de Angelis telling us here? Okay, we established uh, in the first part the importance for us to build up spirituality in us. Spirituality, religious, whatever you want to call, okay? Because this is what is going to foster our moral transformation, is going to help us in building up ourselves as immortal spirits and help us in this process. But this is still not enough. Because if we somehow keep that only to ourselves, do you remember the parable of the fig tree? The dry fig tree? Mm-hmm. We are only going to show somehow the internalization of our spirituality when we put that in practice. So that's why that she says here, whoever claims to believe but does not produce any good in favor of others is unwise. We are losing the opportunity, not sharing with others. If we close ourselves just thinking, I don't care what is going on in the world, I'm here praying 20 hours a day, like we used to believe that this was what God would want for us, a constant um, demonstration of worship. And God says, I don't want you to worship me in the temples. Go outside, or go outside of yourselves and show that you understand the work of, the divine providence, and help to build, you know, goodness, righteousness all around. So this is what she is trying to say here, and actually what this shine your light is talking about. We don't have many people at the moment, maybe more than we think, but not that many that have light to shine. And if those that have a little light to shine are not doing anything about it, what good are we really doing? Okay, this is what she's saying. Let me see what Orlando mentioned here. Do you see a physical body and incarnated spirit, body, mind, things like a spirit? I don't see Orlando, because to me, like I said, whether we have a body or we don't have a body is always the same thing, because the one that is ruling is always the spirit. It's never the physical body or the spiritual body. So whether I am in the life of a spirit, with a more or a less dense body, or whether I am in the physical with a denser body, it doesn't matter, because the one that is on command is always my spirit. So it's like, if I wearing black, or if I wearing blue, or if I wear red, it's not going to change who I am. I may look better in a different color, but this doesn't mean that I'm going to be different than I am. Okay, and so this is what we have to think about. It's regardless of the clothes, the garment, and I mean, here I'm talking about spiritual body versus physical body. The one that is in charge, in place, is always the spirit. And this is, the one that has to be tamed. I do understand, however, that when we have a denser body living in the material, in the physical realm, I may have, I may be more impaired to see or to have a big vision, which can get in the way somehow. Okay, but it's still, it is me as a spirit making choices. Anyone would like to comment something about this part here? She, she mentions here, the need that we have to, once we embrace Jesus' ideas, and it's always important for us to mention here, we may worship the man, Jesus, the great figure, Jesus. But here, more than the man himself, we are talking about what the man left to us, the teachings, the examples. So here, when we are talking about, really embracing and try to change our way of living, following the examples, the teachings of Jesus, and with a clear mind, with more love in our hearts, this is when we are more prepared to actually be able to give something of ourselves. It doesn't mean that we have, of course, to be completely ready or uh, so evolved as Christ to start doing something, because it's through the exercise of goodness that we become each time more good.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yes, what I feel, what he's saying is to step away from the idolizing and even emulating, and step into our higher selves, with sincerity.
Absolutely. I mean, again, that's why in matters of faith, in matters of spirituality, we're not talking about intellect, the amount of knowledge, the amount of books that we read. Maybe a person just heard once the Lord's Prayer and it changed their lives forever. And with just this single prayer is enough for her to or him to have this belief and to internalize and acknowledge the presence of God, the presence of the Creator, and change completely. So that's why we are talking about noble sentiments here that of course are going to become each time more present the more we start feeling, allowing them to be part of us and exercising them in our outward actions. So in this way she finishes here by saying, us to leading us to to try to go for an inner search in terms of introspection, prayer, everything. And again, it doesn't mean when she's talking about introspection and prayer that we have to stay the whole day, you know uh, shut in a room and just kneeling down and saying the rosary. No, she's talking about even the few minutes that we stop to acknowledge God's presence in each and every blessing that we receive every day, right? Any more comments or okay, so let's read the rest here. Do not detain yourself when faced with massive impediments from the task of spiritual assistance. Join your light to others that are burning in the night of afflictions, pouring scarce luminosity. Go to your neighbor and give them clarity with the message of Christ, calling them to action and responsibility. Albeit the gospel was preached to a confused multitude, the Master did not spare himself any efforts in the ministry of attending and illuminating each one of the individuals that surrounded him. Have unrestricted faith in his governance and do your part without precipitation or pessimism, without fearing human idleness, nor failing in marginalization due to indifference or timidity. Spiritualize yourself and let your comforting light shine, indicating the path of peace to those who proceed to you. So here's Joanna de Angelis saying, okay, I understand that there will be moments when you are going to face unsurmountable or appearing unsurmountable problems in terms of, trying to help, to assist. And I mean, I think we see that in our lives, right? Sometimes we have in ourselves, or we have someone that we would like so much uh, to see better, to see assisted, but it doesn't depend on us. So let's see here if we're talking about an addiction, someone that has an addiction that we wanted to help so much. and it seems so hard to conquer that. Or when we are talking about the high flights of spirituality, it seems so hard for us to do that. Or when we are committed to tasks of, of enlightening others through our dedication, through our efforts, trying to teach, to enlighten, and we see so much interference. So, what she's saying here, something that Jesus told us many, well, millennia ago, when he said, whenever you join two or more to pray, I'll be there. So here is already explaining to us that if we join our efforts with others, I may be, a flickering flame of a match, not even a candle. But if we put all those flames together, well, we can light a fire, right? Bigger fire. We can make a change. So here, that's why she says for us to join to each other, and remembering that sometimes, little light is better than nothing. When we are to, if you have to get into a very dark room and you have no light, that is going to be very challenging. If you have just a single flame that can help you see just a small step ahead, it's already enough. It may be already enough for you to start doing something and liberating yourselves. So that's why she's inviting us here to shine our light, never thinking that we are too small, that we know too little, that we are too imperfect, and too this, or that will prevent us to do something about it. Uh, and it also not to choose. I mean, it's not up to us to choose to select which person I'm going to help or not, if this person deserves or not. This is up to God. It's not up to us. And that's why she says here, Jesus, when he was on with us on earth, he would go, and whoever looked for him for assistance, he wouldn't judge and he would do his part. Uh, of course, there will be times that we will doubt ourselves, we will doubt our strength, we will doubt our possibilities, but then it's when she says here that we have to have unrestricted faith in the governance of Jesus. Do not giving ourselves to pessimism, to idleness, because what difference will that really make, and not becoming indifference or shy in the sense of going and help. So let your comforting light shine, and we'll be doing what we are supposed to do. And you know sooner we will realize that we are more capable than we imagine in the first place. I think this is a beautiful lesson, where she's not denying here that troubles exist, that we have a faltering faith yet, that we have to address religiosity, spirituality with more seriousness and commitment, that we have to internalize all of that. But above all, we should not keep this to ourselves, which is different than saying go and preach. She's not talking about here go and change the mindset of the world. She knows this is a very gradual and slow process. But the more we give ourselves to others, the more through examples they are going to be impacted by our way of being, by our state of mind, because we will tend to become more uh, accepting and understanding when things happen. Let's see. Orlando put here, how can we accomplish these tasks when there are bad spirits affecting our life, which the spirit world is responsible? Uh, Orlando, yeah, this is the challenge, right? Uh, it's like we are in a battlefield. Okay, and one side we have the ones striving for goodness, not fighting with each other necessarily, okay? Especially from the good side, trying to impose their ways. On the other side, we have the ones that want to interfere. I'm the one that choose the side. And even when I choose goodness, I may be the recipient of negative influence because I'm still vulnerable to their presence. But it doesn't mean being vulnerable doesn't mean that I have to yield to what they want to do with me or the ways they want to guide me through, in terms of the bad ways. So the only spirit is responsible for that is us. Okay, because even if we are vulnerable today, it is exactly what Joanna de Angelis is explaining here on the first paragraphs. We did not prepare ourselves well. So I built a whole house, a beautiful house, and I didn't put a roof on it. So when it rains, it pours. It is going. So this is what we have been doing. We look around, we look at the surface. Oh, everything is perfect, right? But we forgot the essential, which is the protection of a roof under our heads. And we have been neglecting, building up this safe roof for many incarnations. Now, I may have a roof in a certain area of the house, but not all the house. And so when I have to deal in that area, in that arena, I'm more exposed. This can be in the field of professional life, in the field of, dealing with my moral imperfections, in the field of physical addictions, in the field of, family relationships. So there are areas that are very fragile and they will find it. I mean, if we are a person that is very easily led to burst of anger, this is the area of my house that is out in the open. So every time that I slip and give myself to one of those negative traits, this is when they are there waiting to advance and to attack us. So again, who is the culprit? Who is responsible for that? Yes, you're right. It's a spirit, but it's us. Spirit is not other spirits. Because even when you say, "Oh, they are influencing me to go to the bad through the bad road," yes, they are, but it's your choice to go or not. Oh, they are influencing me to go to the good road. Yes, they are, but it's still you are the one that has to choose and to start doing something to go through this path. It's simple as that, but like you said, not necessarily achieve it. That's why we are still going through all of this that we are going through, all of these problems, all of the situations that we are going through. Any more comments or questions? Let's just, I think yeah, this is it. Peaceful reaction.
I have one story. Then
Okay.
what you mentioned about it's not our choice who will help, but God. Then one day I was in Rio de Janeiro, and someone called me, oh, let's to pray because I need to pray. Then I put the microphone, I open the Bible, read one psalm, and pray and explaining, because every time when I pray, I explaining. I try to explain the message of that. And then when I finish, the housekeeping in Rio was in the kitchen. She said, thanks for your prayer because I really need this today. The message was wonderful for me. And
Oh,
then,
wow.
yeah, then was amazing because the way then I tried to pray with someone and I touch another soul. And this is hand of God.
And remember, Sonia, talking about this, also knowing of the spiritual atmosphere that we are, and knowing that, especially when we pray, the spirits will come to, or will be brought to the place where we are together and to benefit from the prayer as well. Sometimes we may not even see the result per se in the physical aspect, but in the spiritual aspect is happening. It has happening as well. And I think it's wonderful, this example really. I mean, you're thinking that you're doing for someone that is in the phone, and then, which you are, right? I'm sure the person also benefited from it, but the scope of the help and the assistance reaches someone else, which is beautiful. Any more comments or questions about that? So
Oh,
next week, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just following what Sonia just said is that sometimes we think that we are helping others, and once we say a prayer out loud, it makes so much sense to ourselves also.
Exactly.
We think we're doing for the other ones, and it turns out we were the one in need of that word at that moment.
Exactly. And even when we open a book by chance, right? The same thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's exercise this week what Joanna de Angelis is saying. Shine your light. Don't be shy. Go and shine. And even when you think maybe it's not much, but if you're doing that with your love, with your heart, with the desire to help, this is what is important to be done. Okay, so next week we will have a peaceful reaction. Um, so we are ready for our final prayer.